Yep. Oh, yes.
Beautiful.
Jaguar.
And then I just peek from around the corner.
Why did you peek?
I don't know.
Too much confidence.
Hello to the both of you. How you doing today?
Hello.
Hello. Good. How are you?
Good. So what's the relationship between the two of you?
So I met her on my fall from Masters last season, and I enjoyed her shot calling as like a main tank. Plus, she likes playing main tank, and I like playing off tank. So I was like, heck yeah! Like I don't actually have to keep flexing the main tank, and I don't like playing it. Awesome. And then she also shot called a lot, and I liked that, like having somebody to like relay comms with, so I'm not just talking to a wall the entire game. Because I really like thrive in communication like based environments, and she like picked that role up really well. And yeah, like once I fell from 3.8 to diamond, I was like, hey, I'm in diamond now. You want to duo? And then yeah, we've been trying to get to masters ever since. We peaked one game away, and
oh no, one of those like 34.99 games.
No, 34.86 is peak, and then we've fallen back like and gone up, and then like one game away, and then back down, and like we just keep getting to one game away, and then falling all the way back down to like 3.1, 3.2.
So Ryan, your peak is 3.8, and then Jaguar, what's your peak?
3.4.
Oh,
Two games off masters.
Oh no, those are always the worst. I had a friend who reached literally 3.999, never made it to grandmaster, and then eventually quit the game like 4 or 5 seasons later because he was so mad about it. But all right, and Jaguar, how long have you been playing the game?
I started like season 18, I think, and I started in bronze actually. So that's a fun story.
That's a real climb.
That's a big climb, especially we're only season like 27 right now, aren't we? That's actually a very impressive climb. That's a really short time to climb that far. And have you been a main tank player the entire time, or what other roles and heroes have you played?
I mean, I played a lot of Mercy at the start. I was like, people just told me to play Mercy. I was like, okay, and then I was like, this is kind of boring, and then I started playing tank. Yeah.
Just saying.
Oh, no.
Just saying. That is a very, very familiar story. So. And what about you, Ryan? When did you start?
I started season 7 back when I was like traveling for work. Like I'd play when I'd come home from work. And then like I started really trying like season 16. And then I hit Masters like 2 seasons after. And I was in Masters basically every season until last season I fell out, and then I have not been in Masters since last season.
Fair enough. And what are your goals? Either individually or together, just playing together to have fun and improve, or?
I mean, my goal. So I was always on Masters teams. Like I've been on like a 4K scrim team. I've been on lots of scrim teams. My goal was to grind ladder, get into GM, and like start trying to get into like collegiate or like tier 3. Like I wanted to try to get into those, but then I fell to diamond. So now I'm further away from my goal. Wrong direction. So yeah, that's kind of like my goal.
And what about you, Jaguar? What's your goal?
I kind of like I've played on a lot of teams, and I keep getting benched like on every single team I'm on, and I just want to not be benched. And I also want to like hit GM. I think that'd be cool.
Did you ever get benched, Lou? I got benched.
I've gotten kicked before I've gotten benched. I got kicked from a team I started.
Oh no!
You started the team and they're like, yeah, you gotta go.
Yeah,
you gotta go.
So, yeah, I think that everybody's got a story of how they got kicked or benched at some point. So it's not like the people who made it all the way did it and were like the kings of every single team that they were on. So I don't feel bad about getting benched or kicked. And so it's funny because the guy who like benched me, because I was playing Lucio in like open division contenders trials, and I got benched for, I don't even remember what it was anymore, but I never let that man live it down. It's good times. But all right, so yeah, the two of you playing main tank, off tank, so I guess we'll focus on it, the work between the two of you. But I am excited for this. Lou, do you have any questions before you want to just like jump right into it?
I'm actually kind of curious on how you plan on observing, if they were going to look like top down or from individual POVs. Since this is a duo.
I think that we'll probably during the review let's start third person and then choose which perspective to rewatch.
I like the matching skins.
That's sweet. No. Oh man. Y'all have figured out how to play Overwatch. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, so we'll just do a lot more replays, Lou, where we'll watch it through once, pick something, and then watch it from either the Rein or the Zarya perspective. I assume we'll do more Zarya perspective just because we'll be able to see the Zarya and the Rein together, but we'll make it up as we go. PogChamp.
So we chose this one because so we're playing against sort of like a meta rush comp, and we have like Zen Moira, and we barely win this one.
And
but
double
like,
snipers too.
My big thing here is like I know how to play with meta. I don't know how to play very well with Zen
when it goes off script, how do you play? Right?
Yeah. So that's why I kind of chose this code, because we barely scrape it by, and I think I make mistakes, but like I'm just curious, like how. Ooh.
I mean, despite the Widowmaker getting 2 picks, you still won the Rein duel, so.
But yeah, their Widow pops off there.
Yeah, not a lot to talk about during that fight. I mean, like, the 2 Widowmaker picks.
Widow clicked heads. Lol.
Yup, that's how she goes. Is your Widow gonna lose to a Lucio? Yup.
Yes. So, I mean, we haven't seen too much. We could talk a little conceptually about how to play around and for double snipers. But more than anything, it's just about not dying early, which is something we unfortunately didn't see.
Yeah, and you don't want to get it. Like, you want to make sure that you're taking fights in areas where, in order for the Widowmaker to get a sightline, she has to herself be put at risk. That's kind of like the main concept about trying to force the Widowmaker's angles. It's not just, you're never going to find an angle where you're safe, because if you're always playing safe around a Widowmaker, you're just going to give up space for free. The sight lines that you allow her to take in order to threaten you have to be places where she herself are also or is also going to be threatened. So in this kind of, like, if we jump back to this first point here, right, the Widowmaker, I think she gets those kills from either spawn or from above theater. I don't even remember.
She was in spawn and then she went to theater.
Yeah, so like these angles here, for example, she's not threatened here. So like your Widowmaker really shouldn't be taking this fight. Especially, that's not great, because that Widowmaker was not in risk while taking that duel. So it's kind of like the same concept as oof. Wow, a lot of headshots there.
Felt good. Felt good when I was turning around and I got headshot from my right side. It was very cool.
Yeah.
Very fun to play against. Yeah. So, imagining those first initial picks didn't come through, the best way to control an enemy Widowmaker like that is to get in her way as much as possible, kind of like what Jayne's saying, making so that she has to go around your shield. And I think you're overall doing that. It's just your team isn't. But when it comes to the 2 of you exerting pressure together, making sure that you're not only focused on the front line, but you're also considering if there's flanks going on, like we're about to see right now. So this is the kind of situation we need to be prepared for as a tank line, and either scouting this out before we even start aggressing, or having sort of split our attention between the 2 of you, where one of you is marking a flank, one of you is pushing main, kind of thing.
So at the higher levels, this is probably going to be the one thing that I mean, this is probably going to be a concept that we could definitely introduce, is that the Rein and the Zarya very, very frequently do play in this linear kind of ping pong where the Reinhardt goes forward, gets bubbled. Even you could have it the other way, just like the Zarya takes the initial aggression first with the personal, backs off behind the Rein fights with the projected, and then by that time the personal will get up and you kind of like have this ping pong in the same way that you have like Winston and D.Va trading aggression off between the two of them to kind of be able to withstand more pressure from one angle or one vector of attack. That's a very, very common one. That's the one that primarily gets taught for how Rein and Zarya should work together, but it's not the only way, where you don't have to do this like invest both bubbles into one area. Now
that's actually, I just kind of did that before. So what I did is I used both my bubbles, and what you're seeing me do is I'm rotating to like that off angle high ground, because they have a Widow. I'm trying to like shut her down. So like you can see me in the back right now. I'm rotating to the stairs to try to like hold that space, so that if I see her go down alley upper, like I'll be there to contest her on the high ground. And now I'm high charge now, and I have my friendly again, and like now I can off angle from the height.
Yeah, for sure. That's
This
exactly
is
right.
exactly
And
what I was talking about, and you are doing
Yeah.
it. So.
I think if anything, just a touch sooner when
Yep.
when we acknowledge that Widowmaker on the flank would be the only thing I would change.
We power spike with our Moira.
Nice shatter.
Stuff.
Yeah, clean. A lot of ults used, but I think that was good. They also used a few ults, so it was warranted. Now we've got a grab play to make.
Oh no! So close.
I tried. I tried. I give up. I give up there.
So it looks
I'll
like we're
take the
maybe
stairs.
setting up for a grab play, or how aggressive are we
Correct.
getting?
Yeah, we're set up for the grab play. I want to shut down the Widow's thing, but I will. So I like having this off angle here. I've found a lot of like value playing there. One, I can shut down the Widow if she's up there and contest her myself, and two, like I can grab and do off angle pressure with my front line. So I see them fighting down mid, so I just had to rotate to window.
Yeah, I was about to call this a bad play, but you had a really good management of aggression on the front line there as Rein. So it was really dangerous splitting off between your Zarya and Rein when you're not getting immediate value from your flanking Zarya kind of thing. So if you were already pushing to that window and then we start rounding the bookstore as Rein, that makes a lot of sense in my head for exerting pressure at the same time. But our Rein started pushing ahead and then our Zarya had to catch up, and that's the kind of situation that can get us punished potentially. And in this instance, our Zarya was fighting before our Rein was really exerting any pressure. So these sort of little desyncs between you guys as a front line is what you'll want to minimize. And the easiest way to do that is clear communication about what you're intending to do this upcoming fight, and then clear like update calls about like when you're pushing, when you're getting pressured, that kind of thing, so that the other can immediately act. It's obviously very contextual, and like we said, we should be trying to split you guys up at least a little bit, so that you can exert pressure in different spaces and with more safety. But if we're not doing that at the same time, then it's much easier for the enemy team to punish one of you.
Yeah,
Especially when they've got something like Lucio speed.
on this split, like Ryan, it looks like you've got a really good idea of what you want to do when you split here. But like it was pretty risky. Jaguar got really low on the push in, right? So we'll have to see it because we only saw one example. But you've got a good idea of what makes sense for you in context of kind of your flank, but you were gone for, that flank eventually worked out. But they were still kind of like taking the side where the opponent had the Rein Zarya, and they were fighting Jaguar with Rein Zarya, where Jaguar didn't have the support of your own bubbles in order to help her out. So you still managed to pull it off. But I think that there's, understanding the timing of that and how Jaguar has to play differently when you are kind of on that flank. Because like if they had kind of recognized that, and I don't think that they had any way to do that in terms of scouting, but if they had recognized that you were on the flank, they would have and should have gone a lot more aggressive, where they didn't because they didn't recognize that. But there was definitely a opportunity for the opponent to have punished that, where at that point in time, if they had taken out Jaguar, then your flank would have made no sense. It's only because Jaguar lived as long as she did that your flank was able to get any value at all.
Yeah, and I think we've played together now for about 3 months, like we have kind of like a trust and usually know what each other are gonna do. But communicating it more and like timing it better would make it just better. So makes sense.
Three there.
Just greasing up the gears, make everything run smoothly.
Jaguar, when Ryan does go on those flanks, what is your kind of how does your play style change when Ryan just fucks off on his own?
I don't know if it does, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
I think also here too, we had our Zen and our Moira like saying get aggressive, go, get aggressive, move, push forward, go, get aggressive. Like literally the entire time. Like our Zen of all people, like is literally like the entire game like push up, go, push forward, be aggressive. And it's like, okay. So like that was also kind of disrupting your comms just a little bit this game. But yeah.
Ultimately, it is up to you guys as the tank line to decide the tempo of the team.
And
so
it
even
is,
if there are members calling that kind of stuff, make sure you're doing what works for you.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's not like you are playing Reaper, Mei, Kree, or something that is like a classic rush. I mean, like, your Moira, for example, it makes sense that she would want to rush. The Zen, less so, and you're playing Bastion now. All right. But before the Bastion swap, you had the Hanzo and the Tracer, right? So the Hanzo is going to want people to walk into the sight lines, and the Tracer is going to want the opponent to push up so that she has more opportunities for flanks without people being supported. So, and even like the Zenyatta should want the same sort of sight lines that the Hanzo does. So it's kind of weird that the Zen's like push, but like, maybe that's why he's in diamond sort of thing. So, be interested to see how this, like. Oh. Yeah. So like. So go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, talking about off-angling, and so like we talked about second point, wanting to be able to mark that right alley in case that Widow goes there. What we're doing here is we're committing to the flank without really considering where we're actually going to be fighting. So based on how aggressively we were initially holding, we can't maintain that position unless we break out a fight early. So we start falling back.
Yes.
Which is good. We want to use this corner. But since we've showed how aggressive both our Rein and our Zarya were, it was very easy for them to pressure out and go at their own tempo and basically choose their targets as they're walking up. The reason we set up this sort of two-angle aggression is so that once they walk into a single target, hopefully our Rein, then our secondary target, in this case our Zarya on the off angle, can collapse onto that and use that aggression against them. Right? Because they'll be opening up their back line, they'll be turning their shield kind of thing.
Yeah.
So unless our Rein's in a position to immediately take aggression and keep that aggression, we shouldn't be anticipating a fight to stay there kind of thing.
And when you are playing in this thing, in this split, you don't use bubbles for energy, right? Because you need the bubbles to act. Like you've only got one bubble for each one of these spaces. So the bubble on Jaguar was more of an energy bubble rather than an engagement bubble. So your options are basically to hold farther up, and there's a couple reasons for that, right? Because the other side is that the way that you have this set up is the Mega has the McCree's advantage. So your route of retreat is a lot stronger if it's either here or here, because you can use those right clicks, and there's these longer approach angles, and then you could back off to the Mega. Now here, when you actually do get pushed, the best option would have been for you to just run across open territory and Jaguar try to cover your retreat as much as possible, but you get cut off here, and it allows them to pincer you.
Yeah, I think my brain's saying go to the Mega, but yeah, I think you're right. I think I need to step a little bit more aggressively so I have the Mega behind me and then the other Mega, or jumping out to Jaguar.
And so Jaguar, in this situation, when they are pushing up on, this is where I talked about it a little bit in the previous VOD, right? But if they decide to hard commit on Rein when he's on this flank, they're going to succeed in killing him. It's like he's putting himself in a position which is like a little bit of a gambit. If they push you out, that means that they're exposing their backline to Rein, and Rein should be able to get kills. And in the same way, if they commit onto Rein, you should be able to get kills. This is one of the things where it's a little bit of gambit where they have to choose. They're going to try and flush you and push you, or they're going to try and push Rein. But if they overcommit on one, that's going to expose their flanks and their backline to the rest of the team. So in this situation, instead of backing off, when you see them going aggressive on them, you should be going into either the Zarya or onto the BAP to try and trade out. Because I think it's probably more valuable for you to get it. Like if you trade your Zarya for their BAP, you've still got a main healer, and you're going to be able to support the fight, and their resources are just going to slowly bleed out. So if you do see Rein going for it, you don't have to save him necessarily. If he did go for this retreat where he was trying to cross that open territory, hop out, shield him, so that you can kind of stabilize again. But if they go for Zarya, you have to be going forward with your team to try and get a trade somewhere else to keep the fight even.
The other thing I want to bring up from the situation is consider both what backline heroes you have, as well as where they are positioned when choosing a fight location. So we were positioned really far up. If we could just actually jump back and see where like our Bastion Zen were when we were positioned this far forward.
I think the Bastion was swapping still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was
and
one
even
thing.
better-
Bastion was a new pick, so I go.
He was not even.
Yeah,
He was
okay.
not even present during this fight. I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha. But it seems to me that, like, yeah, based on Hanzo and Zen at least, none of our other team members besides you two were ready to fight in that first sort of corridor as they were approaching. And that's going to make it harder for the both of you to find value as quickly because you don't have the support of your backline. And it means if you get punished, it's going to be like an even bigger punishment because there's no one to punish them for pushing aggressively. I've used the word punish like 5 times there, but just like we said, if they're pushing Jaguar, we want Rein to be able to punish. If they're pushing Rein, then we want Jaguar to be able to punish. That also applies to all of our backline members. And if they're not set up ready to do that, it's it's going to be very hard to actually pull that off.
Yeah, this was the only guy in our game that wasn't in voice chat, so that was a little bit different. But yeah,
He's just doing his own thing.
Just doing his thing.
Just doing no voice comms, Bastion.
Oh man. Like how Bastion sounds so weird.
He's gonna keep switching back and forth.
Oh my. Where are you during this? Yeah.
This is like a much safer version of that 2-angle.
Yeah,
where, like,
still really
you're
good.
still disconnected, and it's really, really good. It's very, very hard to punish this, and it's very easy for you to get value as the Zarya here, and very easy for Rein to take attention, kind of thing.
I do think in that situation, Ryan, the lamp wasn't getting you or preventing you from any kills. I think that the order of operations in this should be putting them down to the 20% HP and then getting the lamp, because the lamp only lasts about 5 seconds. So I wouldn't shoot the lamp until it actually becomes something that prevents an elimination, because otherwise it's just going to tank that damage. So they got shattered, but the shatter was really the only kind of damage that would dealt to them. So it's going to be a lot more of a situation where you want to be getting the damage in on target first before focusing on that lamp. So that's a pretty common mistake early on, is just like if a person lamps early, shooting the lamp instead of just like acknowledging that I should just be putting that damage in onto the characters on the enemy team directly. Especially with lamp being as weak as it is now.
Alright, so I called to my team that I wanted to grab this fight.
Yep.
Like once they push past the corner.
I'd like to see a lot more right clicks here. I know that that's a shocker, Lou, but
More right click!
and less
We're
reloading.
gonna make a T-shirt with the picture of Zarya on it. It just says more right clicks. Zarya with Jayne's face photoshopped on top.
Oof.
Ooh. Although your grab got good value, this is maybe not winnable. Maybe not.
That Zen hits one more
It was
shot.
close.
Oh.
1.5 more shots, it turns out.
That's how many shots it takes to get to the center of Zen.
Yeah.
So like that positioning was good. I would have liked to have seen the bubble early, and then like he got the beat, but you could have retreated onto the Mega Health Pack. So just the execution of dodging the flash with the personal bubble in order to keep it up. I'm probably going to watch this fight again from Jaguar's perspective, but we'll keep watching the last 30 seconds from yours. Good.
Not sure why Bab lamped himself up there, but that's fine. when his ride was dying.
You know what? He can stay alive. Right click!
He can. More right clicks, got it. Noted.
Need more
It's on
right
notepad.
clicks.
This is like textbook example of how to punish Rein from a 2-angle, but again, we don't really have the setup to be positioned that aggressively anyway, based on where our backline was. So ideally, either ideally we communicate and push up more as an entire team, or we react to where our backline is and play around their space rather than trying to 2v6 a little bit too soon, kind of thing.
I'm gonna be real. Yeah, I think we would have the backup, but I think playing with the Bastion is abnormal. I'm not used to playing with a Bastion, so it's quite different. But yeah, I'm used to I'm usually saying like what I'm doing and what I want my team to be helping me with. But yeah, when you have a non-in-voice chat Bastion, and it's like I think I could have played it better for sure though. Like I tried to use my personal bubble to cross in front of the team and kill the Reinhardt, so I block his heals and kill him. Like that was my thought process there. And I'm probably gonna die, but I'm also gonna be high charged, so I could punish and potentially.
So
Did we know?
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
No, go ahead, Lou.
I was gonna ask if we knew we had Grab Dragon here, or why did we feel the need to swing?
I just wanted
that
to
grab.
kill the lamb.
No, that's valid. Dragon won't kill. Dragon won't kill lamps or turrets of any variety. So
Yeah. I would say even without them dying, though, it'd be better to have them at low HP and you alive as Reinhardt to try and close out that fight than it would be to try and trade your life for the lamp. It's debatable, probably, and very contextual, but I would generally favor, at least in a ranked environment, a little more self-preservation. Play like just behind the payload there, dodge the damage from the window, maybe even wrap around the window and then look for a fire strike on the lamp. But this level of aggression is a bit messy in my eyes.
Yeah, it's especially with the window there. It's just it's too much damage. So like I like the intention of trying to break the lamp, but even if they get like full on dragon through it, they're all going to be at 20 HP, and it's going to be easier to win that fight afterwards. So it doesn't. Yeah, I agree with you that it'd probably be better to hold off on here. But there was also one thing I wanted to take a look at in terms of this engagement. So right there's sir up. This is where you want your engagements. You want to be kind of like looking for something in order to push an advantage. But even this sort of situation, it's going to be okay. So right. So you see that the Zarya's used her bubble. That's good. Now you got your bubble up here. Now this Fire Strike, it hits here. Now this has been already an exchange of cooldowns, right? So the Zarya used her bubble. You got bubbled. You Fire Striked, and so far this trade has not gone in your favor. It's kind of like neutral, but not much has gone in your favor. So the decision to kind of walk out here and try to find more is actually a pretty poor decision. You should just be chilling at this corner and wanting the opponent to fight you. So there's already been this exchange of cooldowns, and the fight, like it's not that it lost you value or it went in favor of the opponent. It's just like the important part is that you didn't gain an advantage through that exchange of cooldowns. So at this corner, if you can kind of like consider this to be the let's actually bring up Epic Pen for this.
Epic Pen.
Big. A classic. Right? So let's say that there's this line right here, right? So this gives the opposing Reinhardt, a position here that he can fight, and you have the position here that you can fight. And the cooldowns are usually going to be exchanged at this line, right? Now, if you gain an advantage during this exchange of cooldowns, you can push past this line into the opponent. And if not, then you should just stay here. So if somebody tries to cross this line without a specific advantage, they're going to be losing resources at a higher rate, right? So you pushing up here, the farther that you push up, your Zenyatta, your McCree, sorry, not your McCree, your Hanzo, your Bastion, as you push up, your backline is going to be able to support you less and less, and their backline is going to be able to damage you more and more. So the only time you really want to be crossing and pushing into the opponent here is when the exchange of cooldowns went in your favor, and you can continuously press that advantage until it is no longer viable to do so. So the mistake here, I think, it was a minor one, but I do kind of want to point it out, is that the exchange of cooldowns didn't go in your favor, but you still tried to get some value out of it, and it was a very, very small overextension, but you didn't find anything, and it's going to cause your resources to be bled out, and you're going to have to retreat here. So let's take a look at that. So you're forward, you're going to try and swing in. Now the Rein didn't push that, and you backed off here, and now you're just going to stabilize cooldowns here. But as soon as you saw that exchange of cooldowns not going in your favor, you should have immediately backed off. So, and then in this position, this is where I would still be at that corner and trying to like at least get a hammer swing in before starting to retreat with your shield to the corner, where if they are, so I would start, keep holding at this position, right? And as they move up, get a swing or two, and then retreat over this area with your shield, which is full HP because you gained it. But this kind of middling position, it's not a corner here. You're not going to get some swing, so it's like swing, swing, and then as you see them, they're being like aggressive, just back out with your full shield. As the farther that they push in, the more effective your back line, and their back line has to rotate into position here. So that's the main things. So you still got 2 kills off of it, so. Does that make sense, Jaguar?
Yeah.
You have any questions about it?
There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff to take into consideration in these situations.
I mean, I always just had like problems holding corners, and then I got coaching, and I got slightly better at it. But yeah, I do just sometimes stand there.
So like the thing that you died there to was just the window in the graph. So the two things that I'm pointing out there were not mistakes on the level that you actually got punished for, right? But these are the kind of things where these actions are not going to directly lead to eliminations. It's not like doing that is going to allow you to kill the Reinhardt, or not doing that is get you killed. But like especially one of the things that you can do as a tank is just making sure that overall, if the fight stays in the neutral or the longer it goes on, the faster the enemy resources are depleted, so that eliminations, the opportunities for eliminations show up on the opposing side before they show up on your side. So, especially at the elo you're playing at, where you're getting close to masters, big deals, big deals.
Yeah, when we get 3-4, we've been literally in like GM 3.9 4K games, so we're already starting to feel like that SR and the difference in play.
Feel the pressure.
Yeah.
I don't know what this Zarya thought she was doing, but done. Very good stuff.
And I mean, the best part of you guys playing together as a tank duo in these situations is that you can use your kits almost as like one hero to exert the most pressure possible and coordinate the best use of your cooldowns possible for these situations. And that's how you're going to find the most success climbing, is being able to out-coordinate and find better use of your resources than the enemy teams. Oh, that McCree really tried.
Yeah. Like, you're doing things that are really quite well. I think that the thing that's messing you up the most is that even when you are doing a lot more of this off-angling stuff than I had expected, which is fantastic, that you've already got that in your gameplay and we can just work on refining that instead of introducing it. And I think that in 9 games out of 10, what you're doing would make sense and be working even better than it already is, because you're not going to have a Bastion who's not in comms with you, right? So there's like these traditional places where you want to play that stop making sense because the Bastion is only going to be able to, he's not even repositioning, he can shoot one sight line and the opponent can ignore it because they're hiding behind the payload or around the corner or something like that. So you can just play more passively or hold less strongly at these corners, is that you can do it just to kind of get this token bleed of resources and then retreat and try and continuously bait the opponent into the line of fire of your Bastion. So, a lot of these things, at the higher and highest levels of gameplay, the tank is about trying to, force the fight to take, or force the fight to happen not only where you have a larger advantage compared to the other tank lines, but where your backline and your DPS can be more effective in the fight line or in the fight than the opponent's backline in DPS. So that's going to be another contributing factor about where you should be trying to force or bait the fight to occur. And holding too far up or trying to be too aggressive when you do have snipers or things like Bastion is a pretty easy way to just lose immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that you play Reinhardt with Rush compared to the way that I think that every Reinhardt should learn how to play with double sniper, because it's so different, so different. And the double sniper playstyle is also very, very useful when you have DPS who are just basically low-key throwing. When you have incompetent or suicidal DPS, the double sniper Rein playstyle is the superior one.
We actually literally we had Sombra Trace our first 2 games this game day, and we won both of them, having all the damage and all the kills, and our Sombra and Trace were just literally never in our fights.
For sure. I mean, a good Rein Zarya combo, especially if you're getting supported, you can have gold and silver damage for sure. For sure. Right. So Jaguar, I'm going to be a little bit nitpicky because I think that there's some things here that if you introduce into your gameplay are I think that strategically, really quite good. I just want to introduce some tactical things, and I want you to really be thinking about these engagements as kind of trades of cooldowns, right? So this initial fire strike, that's good, right? So that's kind of the first engagement. You're going to be closing this gap here. Now you've got your fire strike and you've got your bubble here. So this is where you could be looking to engage. Now this bubble is early, so I would like to be seeing this bubble, Ryan, from you come out later, once the Reinhardts have actually kind of committed to swinging on each other. Because if this bubble isn't this, wow, Imposter, thank you so much for the 20 gifted subs. I appreciate that, my friend. I hope you're enjoying the review. But yeah, so if this bubble, one of the ways is that you need to get these cooldowns to be getting as much value as possible in these engagements. And we're past the point where you can be bubbling for energy, right? So this bubble needs to be happening while Jaguar is actually engaging here, because you need this trade of cooldowns to go in your favor. So in this case, the bubble's already been used, and Jaguar has used Fire Strike. So the bubble, no value. Fire Strike, no value. So at this point, you don't have the option to engage, and you want to be in a position where you can get as much value as possible, but you really do not want to engage here. So now in this case, what I would honestly do is like one of the things is that I think you overutilize your shield here. So like look how far onto the point you are, right?
Yeah.
So you can just stand there. You could be like, you know, unironically, one of the best things that you could be doing here is kind of like
Sit in
sitting
the
on this
corner.
point, shield down, spinning in circles so that you can't get headshot, right? But you'd be like right on the corner, and it's one of the best
25,000
tactical decisions
DPI.
that you could make. Literally one foot on the corner so that they have to be a little bit wider angle. Like you being here with the shield up, is that even if your shield is up on this corner, they're going to be able to shoot the corner of your shield. So, right? So, like, here, this means that the enemy McCree could technically get value by positioning here, right? And if he wants to shoot you, the McCree has to position here, which is a little bit more threatening. But if you're one toe on, in order to
We have a
threaten
Bastion.
you, he has to be threatened by the Bastion, right? So
Yeah.
it would be shield down, especially when you're in armor, right? Because your supports can heal your person and your base health, but they can't heal your shield, right? So this is a situation where I would just be shield down and like waving at the opponent and then spinning in a circle with a toe, so that when they actually do decide to engage, your shield should be treated like a cooldown equivalent to your fire strike and your bubble. But your health is a renewable resources that your support can regenerate during a fight. It's not a cooldown. Healing is not a cooldown, and your just base health is not a cooldown. So those are less valuable than your shield, your fire strike, and your bubble. So, you know, it's like we need to min-max this by having one toe on the point. And then if they open it up, you can take that damage until you're out, or just about to be out of your yellow health, and then you can shield, right? And then you can turn your shield just so it's like if they want to shoot the shield, they still have to hold quite this wide angle here, like that. And that can be the sort of things where it's like just over time, there's more resources are being bled from the opponent, and they have to be taking more aggressive, riskier locations to try and actually engage on these fights with you. So here's like this shield. Your shield's already down to 784 HP, which is going to probably make things more difficult in this team fighter. How quickly are you going to notice they're doing this flank?
Oh,
Come on,
I'm
Ryan.
gonna notice.
Come
I'm gonna
on,
notice
Ryan.
quickly. I was okay. So my thought process: I'm gonna go start shooting their backline. I turn, and then they literally have speed, and they're on top of me. Like, oh, hey, their backline is here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, not their backline, their entire team. But
They're done.
yeah, let's see this fight from your perspective, actually.
You don't have to. I mean.
Yeah, I wanna. Yeah, so really early bubble wasted.
Yep.
No, right click, please.
I'm curious to know what your communication is like in game when you're talking about bubbles.
So we usually
Specifically
do.
bubbling your Rein.
It's right there, like right there. Typically speaking, we would like 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna bubble you into their Rein, and like we usually power spike with bubbles. So usually like it depending on, like if it's Havana, for example, not Havana, sorry, Hanamura, for example. Like we'll use our first set of bubbles, like especially if we don't have speed to like get charge, and then we'll power spike when I have my personal, like bubbling her into the Rein, and then me personal bubbling, and like we push in Hake space, like I grab it. And like this situation, I feel like I'm a little bit more lost. We have like more people talking than normal, so like I think our communication was a little bit like broken in this game because we have a lot more voices, and then also we don't have like help from our DPS in comm. So there's a couple of things that happen where like we mismatched a little bit more in this game than normal, but yeah, that's usually like what our thought process is.
So especially like if Jaguar, because one of the things, like again, Jaguar, I'm going to go a little bit higher on the tactical side of things because I think you can handle it. Is like there's it's kind of like standard when a Reinhardt is like standing in a corner, he's just like swinging, right? But even one of the ways that you can make sure that the engagements go directly according to plan is if you see the enemy Reinhardt swinging, you want to start your swing just a second later so that his whiffs, but yours connects a fraction of a second later. So it's like it's almost like you get that free hammer swing in so that there's this 85 HP differential in your direction. And then, so this is going to be a situation where, the 3, 2, 1 kind of bubbling sort of thing can be, good for these very obvious engagements. But if the two Reins are kind of like jockeying against each other and you see that opportunity where his swing is going to miss, but if you hit W and you walk right after it, you can hit him with the hammer and open up with first hit, then that's sort of situation where automatically that fight is going to be going in your favor. So at that point, when you see it, you can be like, bubble me, and just go for it. So you can have this sort of thing where you like, you could do you could have it like, communicate in a way that it's like bubble in 3, for example. And that just means bubble is coming off of cooldown. in 3 seconds, right? But then Ryan, if you see it, you could be like bubbling, or Jaguar, you could be like bubble me, and then go in, because like Jaguar's main job here is going to be trying to have this initial exchange of cooldowns go in her favor as much as possible, as often as possible, and that is going to require a little bit of a higher precision. Where sometimes if it's like clear, it's like rush, you know, the gap is going to be closed, the engage is happening regardless. If it's this posturing where Jaguar is sitting at this corner and the opposing Reinhardt is sitting at this corner and they're like swinging at each other, like, when do I go in? When do I get in? Can I hit a fire strike? Can I not? Like, sometimes it's going to be where they're in this position where they could get bubble at any second. And at that point in time, it's going to make more sense that Jaguar asks for it when she's ready.
Correct.
Yeah. And then in this situation when you were here, Ryan, we already talked about this initial engagement here, and when you went back to look at this, well, of course you didn't right-click, which must say, but as soon as you saw this, right, you should have just been fucking running. So
I think my S key was broken.
Yeah,
I think,
but this is a situation like a Reinhardt already here telegraphs that they are coming through hotel. They have no intention of stopping. So you continue to walk into them, and you're like, I'm fine.
I have a bubble.
You've got a bubble. You've got a. You're. So
What will they possibly do?
yeah.
What could they possibly? I have a bubble. Yeah, and then they break the bubble in less than a second. I think that's like a world record.
In less than a
break.
second. I'm not sure your bubble even fully deployed before it was gone. But yeah, I appreciate your confidence. I think that's the most generous thing I can say about this play. Yeah, you dead. So,
I got mowed down. I think
yeah.
that's like the first time I've ever
Yeah.
seen someone get mowed down.
And there also is going to be situations like even if there was only kind of one person here, like a Kree or something. This is something where you'll want to open this angle a little bit wider, because really the main thing that you want to do is you don't want to be pushing through immediately where you can be punished. You can just try and get some right clicks here just as some kind of like poke damage, because we're talking about these like little off angles. This is an off angle. Like you standing here at the Jaguar at that corner, you right click through here. Well, Jaguar is holding that corner. That is an off angle. So you don't have to be in and going through hotel. You can just right click through hotel to try and pelt the
Bait them
Reinhardt
out.
from behind. Or like, so let's take a look at like their positioning here when Jaguar is about to hit this initiation. So like right here, right? They're in hotel, but look at this, especially at this right. There's like 4 people grouped perfectly in this area for you to land a right click.
more right clicks.
More right clicks. Right? And if this Reinhardt's trying to recover a shield, right click. You know? Right click. So the timing was really poor, but just after that, trying to stand and fight instead of running as fast as possible in the other direction and just screeching at the top of your voice for Jaguar to cover you is what caused that to not go very poor or not go very well. So. And then how does Jaguar handle this? This is lost anyway. I'd probably pin out in desperation, but... Oh, the counter charge! Are you gonna get a kill on the Rein? No way you're just gonna boss mode this Reinhardt. Alright!
Boss mode!
Can we watch
Lucio?
this from top down? I want to see what actually happened.
Yeah, did they just like allow themselves to get pincered by the Bastion or what?
No, the Bastion goes down.
Oh, so your Hanzo wins the fight and then pelts away at their Zarya. Oh, the Hanzo
Yeah, they
clutch.
just took 6 1v1s, and they lost most of them.
6 1v1s. This game isn't actually a team game. It's just a 1v1.
Yeah, apparently.
True story, true story.
Well, it was a team game when they killed you, and then they decided.
And after that, they were like, all right, everybody split.
Yeah. I mean, so a couple things to touch on there, so that I wanted to bring up. When you are looking for those flanks, and I definitely think that's a very good playstyle to have as the Zarya, especially with this duo you have, making sure you can leverage the attention on your Rein to find more aggression yourself. You need to make sure that aggression is actually on your Rein before committing to that flank. So like we said, playing a little bit slower, getting a bit more information before actually walking through hotel. That's probably the call there. If they see you spamming through hotel and then they decide to commit on your Rein, then you can push forward and try and find some value, but not before.
Yeah, so this situation is like you've got this trade, right? So you've thrown your fire strike, you got value, and you've already got like this sightline is really, really covered quite nicely, right? So you're backing up a bit. You've got your Fire Strike ready to go, so you're going for another engagement here.
Yep, and I call bubble.
Right, so, but as soon as you ate this Fire Strike here before you went in, that was like, at that point in time, it'd be like, fuck, you got me, and you stop.
You're
right?
playing from behind.
Yeah, so it's like, these are going to be the kind of really subtle nuances that depend whether you keep fighting or not, right? So, and kind of recognizing it. So you're coming in, you've got another Fire Strike because you've waited, and you're going to it, and this gap shot is going to hit the Fire Strike right as you turn the corner. Or no, this is the early one. Sorry, this one here. So you're going back in, right? And then gap shot's going to Fire Strike as you turn the corner. This Fire Strike landing right here before the bubble goes up, at this point, you've lost the trade.
Yeah.
So it's like literally, like you wanted to go in and try and swing, but as soon as this Fire Strike lands on you before you've landed your Fire Strike, your shield is back up. And it's like, all right, I've got to wait until the next 8 seconds, so I've got my Fire Strike back up and I've got projected, and we can try this again. So you overcommitting after that Fire Strike had already gone in your direction puts you at a loss of resources, and the flash is going to know what's finishing you off. So literally, as soon as the trade of cooldowns goes in favor of the opponent, you're like reset, stabilize, wait for next set of cooldowns.
The one thing I'll say is I think the shot call here was that I wanted to use Nano on Rein and like push past this choke aggressively.
Yeah, so but this is you're at the elo at this point where you can't just blindly follow plans. Right? If you're like, we're going to nano the Reinhardt, and then like your Reinhardt, if you kind of see this, you can do this in order to continue pushing an advantage or push a neutral once you've got this exchange of cooldowns. But there's no point in following this plan if you are at a disadvantage where you don't need to, right? The defenders have picked this location. This is where they are fighting, and you get to pick when you fight. You can go in at any point in time. You can go in with your cooldowns, try and get this trade, and if it doesn't work, you can try again in 8 seconds. You don't have to do this on the very, very first attempt. So if the initial engage is scuffed, be like, no, wait, right, sort of thing. Or you can kind of like go in, and if you get a neutral trade, then you can turn a neutral trade into an advantage with a nano boost. But if it doesn't go in your favor, just fucking wait the 8 seconds, right? So like you're playing in mid-diamond here, and you're trying to get to Masters anymore, so you can't just be blindly following plays. You need to have like this decision tree at which at some point in time nano comes out, or at some point in time Grav Dragon comes out. But you're not at an elo where starting a fight with a plan like that, with like Grav Dragon or just Nano the Rein go in, right? Like you're not at a level where just trying to go in with a plan that simplistic is going to work, because then you're going to try and force it, and the play isn't going to make any sense in context. You can almost think of it like if your nano play is like the terminal goal, but you have a whole bunch of intermediate goals, and you need to accomplish those before you can get to the terminal goal of nano to win. Okay, so here's this dragon. Are you gonna keep pushing through it? Oh, you've got your nano, or your transfer. Ooh, big sleep. Oh, your shield just broke.
And I was 1 second away from my bubble.
Great play, Jaguar. That was good. That was good. Oh. That was good.
And this is a bit scuffed overall, but could, I guess, be considered an example of them overcommitting to a disadvantageous start. Like, as soon as we got nanoed and as soon as they didn't get value out of their shatter, they should have been playing a much slower game and trying to back out. But they stayed to commit, and we just cleaned them up.
Oof.
Decent trade.
Interesting that your Bastion's deciding to tank here.
Yeah, so actually right here, my team is now, for the next like 10 seconds, they're yelling at me to grab, because somebody said that I had grab, but I only had 90. So I waste grab here, but it's because like 3 people on my team are, grab right now, grab right now, grab right now, you need to grab right now. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it.
But
so
were they the one who pressed Q?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're still the one who pressed Q, so it's still your mistake.
Yeah. Yep. It was just like, I was just getting yelled at. Yeah, I definitely made a mistake. I will
Fuck them.
This is why I had 3 people like somebody right here. Right here is where it said like
the response to that is play your own hero. Look.
So like normally I would have backed up, but like they were like just saying like do it, and I'm like I'm trying to get it. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Oof.
Don't do things just because somebody's telling you to do it. If you don't think it's a bad play, or if you don't think it's a good play, you don't think there's going to be follow-up, don't do it.
Yeah.
Your Hanzo's flanking them. Amazing. That's nice of them to give you free energy.
That's what I was thinking. That's actually exactly what I said. R.I.P. Jag. I don't get to keep it.
Nope.
Unfortunate.
A lot of sort of like trying to decide if we can stay or not from both of you guys there, I think. All it really takes is one commit to either fighting or backing out completely. And we save 10, 20, 30 seconds.
This is good.
Even if we decide to commit and it's the wrong call, it's better to make that call earlier than just sort of go back and forth about whether or not we can fight.
So he won that. So you had, like, this was a good, right? So if we take a look at this, I'm just going to keep looking at these kind of Reinhardt trades, right? So in this situation, you get, he fire strikes, so that swing right there, with him discorded, this you can commit to it, right? So if he keeps fighting, you're going to have an advantage. You have the advantage. If he keeps fighting, that advantage is going to deepen in your favor, right? So you miss the fire strike, but even without the fire strike, you still have this advantage, and the Reinhardt's backing here, right? So moving back up, you're going to keep threatening. You're going to get one swing, and then the correct decision to back off again. He gets a swing on you, unfortunately. Then you go forward, and you get a fire strike, but he gets a fire strike and you get chunked. So now it's the opposite way around, where now he's got the enemy Reinhardt has this advantage, and he's going to push you. Oh, but big ante. So overall, quite well played. I think that there was just one situation where, like, if you had been able to, like, and this is going to be another situation where the swing fire strike cancel is going to be really good, because if you are trying to get this initial burst damage on the engagement, the one point in time where you could have done it was, it's right here. He answers back with a swing. It's like, fine, right? But so I'm not sure if that actually hit him or not. I don't think it did, right? So here, when you're going for this fire strike here, if you're trying to, like, really min-max things, this is going to be a situation where you want to be getting the hit on somebody and then fire striking through them. So that Reinhardt got the bubble, and then you shielded. So. And then we've seen the rest of this fight.
Q.
Yep. Amazing how Qs work. They used 5 of them, so it's not the worst thing in the world that you lost it.
What? I don't know why Peep switched off Bastion. I don't know. No one knows what Peep was doing because he wasn't in
Peep's mind is an enigma.
Yeah, some say we'll never know.
Some say.
It's gonna sound sarcastic, but really nice standing still there. It was a really tough spot to be in, and there's a lot of pressure to either make a move or try to, like, make something aggressive work. But you did exactly what was needed for your team there, and just staying stable.
That fight was fantastic. Let's see it from from Ryan's perspective.
You keep saying, like, Rein and Ryan, and I keep getting tripped up every time.
Okay, Tuesday.
Were you aware of that Hanzo on the right?
Yeah.
When you pushed up here? Okay.
Yep.
And you chose to ignore him instead of... And now we're talking about okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, sometimes, especially if you're really well coordinated with your main tank, as I imagine you guys are, it can be good to call for, like, a slow push and say you're going to flush out this Hanzo, and you just hold shield, you don't try to swing, you just block the damage for the Zarya here, so you have the time to go flush out this Hanzo. Because you will win that duel, assuming you're at full HP and you have bubbles. So you just need the time to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I, like, don't look at them to try to, like, bait them to, like, hard push on me, and then I turn immediately.
And there's no reason that they should push you, though. They'll just stay at range.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. So,
I mean,
in this situation, right, you'll get your personal, and like, you do eventually bubble Jaguar to keep her alive, right? But in this situation, so, like, there's the right clicking around the corner. The way that you the way that you win this fight as quickly as possible is right click directly into the feet, because you're at 73, so that'll do around 75, 80 damage. Do the right click, left click until they're below the HP where you can just get the one shot with the right click, and the right click the main answer. Right click, left click, right click. That's all you need to do here. But you right clicked early so that you're starting the engagement with not full ammo, and then you're starting the engagement with left click here. Now in this situation, what you need to do is keep on the high ground, looking down on this this Hanzo, because the way that he's going to juke you is by wall climbing you back onto the high ground. So you stay on this high ground here, and like so. I don't like the drop here, especially because this is going to give a situation where now this Hanzo can basically fight your Hanzo free. He actually does win that fight. So, and then
takes one to the mouth.
The Hanzo's like, peace, right? So, tactically,
if you are going to commit to that duel,
yeah,
commit to it.
Commit to it. Stay on the high ground, because like the only way that he's getting away from you is if you drop or don't ever go onto the high ground. It's just right click, left click, right click, and he should just pop. If you're anywhere above 70, 80 energy, squishies that are within an accurate right click range should just pop and die immediately. Okay, let's look at this engagement. So his fire strike missed. Oh, yours is on cooldown here, right? So again, wasted bubble. It's before the engagement happens. So Jaguar's doing the right thing of backing off. Good, good. You can just slam them. Yep! Somebody's killing your entire backline while you're forward, though.
Yeah.
We got grabbed, right?
I don't know if we got grabbed. So I blocked the shadow here, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
With the bubble, looks like.
Yeah. He steps up, so I bubble her, and then...
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, the Hanzo landed 2 headshots and then killed somebody in the grab.
You guys played that really well, though. I mean, your backline getting grabbed is a little bit out of your control. Other than
but they
knowing
use both,
it's coming and maybe...
They use both tank ults, so it's like, I don't know. Sometimes those trades are okay for the next fight.
Yeah, for sure.
I fed.
What? I didn't see
In
anything.
summary. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What do you mean? You're alive right now?
Yeah, actually. Yep.
Tactical reset.
All right, let's see this.
Tactical reset.
Yeah. So I think that, like, especially with you playing as a duo, this is going to be something where it's fun to talk about, where we don't get to talk about it with your Rein or Zarya. But I'd like to put a lot more emphasis on getting these initial trades going in your favor with cooldowns, and then deciding to either try it again, waiting the 8 seconds in this neutral, or continuing the engagement if it went very much in your favor. So, so looking at this from your perspective, right? There's that bubble. Here you're pushing in.
We said we were going to grab Dragon.
Yeah, that was a good grab.
Yeah. Punch him.
Normally, I'd be concerned about bubble usage around a grab, but obviously, if you're following up with Dragon,
Yep.
you don't need to worry about that too much.
And I think that, like, you're not responding textbook to this Dragon, right? I mean, the way that you, like, this Hanzo's doing a really good job of splitting you, right? So there's a lot of times where Jaguar is almost never retreating. The Dragon's just letting herself get split off. And then Ryan, sometimes you're staying with Jaguar, and sometimes you're retreating to the other side of the bubble. Where I think that especially, like, just the thing that you want to make sure is that you don't get split off from the rest of the team, because Dragon is also a lot like Maywall. Maywall physically stops you from going through the wall, so you die, whereas Hanzo ult means that you can't retreat or you die, where if they are doing this kind of like Dragon play, you can just assume that it's not going to try and kill. They're trying to use it to isolate or split the team. So with that, especially if they're doing it early, I would just, in terms of the more conservative play, you're getting away with it because of the elo, and the opponent is not punishing the Hanzo's good dragons. But the more conservative play is to use both of your rebels to just retreat to the other side of the dragon, so that it gets no value, right? In the same way that it's you know, it's being used like a cooldown, where this dragon is giving them an advantage because it's going to isolate the two of you, and it becomes a 6v2 for a certain number of seconds. And you're probably not going to die, but the fight is going to kick off from there, and you're going to have to use cooldowns and resources in order to try and stay alive. So as that fight progresses from that point, the opponent has an advantage. Whereas, like, if somebody's using a visor or something like that to try and start a fight, you just, like, wait. Especially if you don't have to engage through it, just wait for its time to run out, and then fight, and they won't have that resource at all. So these are a lot of things where if an opponent tries to, like, start off with a fight, you can just, like, too early with a cooldown, or, you know, and this is kind of like one of the reasons why you don't want to do the thing that we were talking about on that first to second point attack with the nano play, is that if you do that nano play too early, they're just going to use their cooldowns to make sure that that fight just never happens, and you'll just flail hammer into nothing. And then after that nano is down, they'll either counter-push or punish, or just start a fight where you only use nano to get like 10 meters of payload progress, and that's it. No eliminations or anything like that. And as Tikatee says all the time, you're going to be using your ultimates to build ultimates. So just like negating that by making sure it gets no value is huge play. So there's a lot of words to say that right now you're surviving Dragon because the opponent isn't utilizing it. I mean, the Hanzo is doing a good job utilizing it. The rest of the team isn't following up on it. And your primary job should be trying to make sure that as a team you're together, that the Hanzo isn't splitting you from your backline, which right now has been happening consistently.
Got it.
Yeah.
I decided I want to
Consistency.
contest Hanzo here. So I push.
Nice little jump.
Just making sure he wasn't behind me.
Even if you don't like go over there and kill him, just you standing in that spot stops him from doing anything from that flank. And that's exactly what you need to be leveraging as a tank duo. Not only matching the enemy Reinhardt, but also denying enemy flank value and stuff like that. And then if they ever overstep, then you can commit and try to get the kill, kind of thing. Ooh.
There's no way they win off that. That's not enough. All right, you got it. You got it.
Nice.
You have any
Do you guys
questions?
have any questions?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Hey,
we're,
Jay.
we're psychic.
Rubbing our two brain cells together. Yeah.
I mean, so far, no. I mean, I feel like, so we've been getting coaching from other people as well, and like one of the things I've been working on is my off angling. So I just really need to refine, like, map wise, like where off angling is comfortable and like where it's working and where it's not, and it's kind of like trial and error. But like coaching is the fast way through trial and error, and like trying to figure out which off angles are good and which ones aren't, and then right clicking for sure.
Yeah. The thing is, it's gonna be the same lesson every time.
Especially
it's just
on
learning
Zarya.
about why it was the case this time. And there's like a million different contexts on a million different map examples. Like on King's Row alone, there's like 50 different fight locations we could show you where it's going to be a different context you need to look for.
Yeah, like
so-
we mostly reading like their formation and their composition and like what that means. Like basically how that composition and like what heroes they have affects your boundaries.
Like
And-
Exactly.
when Ghost was a thing, right? The meta on this point became that Zarya's fought for catwalk control, right? Like, like
'Cause
what?
No one could do anything about it.
Zarya would just, and whoever Zarya had this high ground, would like be able to just shell right clicks onto everybody from up here, right? So, and then it became a game of like you used the diva to try and force the enemy Zarya's personal bubble out, and then your Zarya would go and try and take that duel with your diva having forced the enemy Zarya personal, so that your Zarya can take that fight with her personal and win it. And there was like this huge metagame around like how do you get your Zarya to have control over catwalk? It was ridiculous. What a ridiculous point in time to be working in the Overwatch League.
All right. Yeah. No, I've enjoyed. I've got a lot of notes from this, so
Awesome.
guys, more right clicks and
More right click.
Oh, right
Yeah.
clicks.
I'm actually designing a right click shirt right now as you see.
But yeah, Zarya is one of those characters where regardless of what rank you're at, we're going to be talking about right clicks, bubble management, and off angles. Yeah, good fire strike. This is a situation where you don't really, like, after you've got that fire strike, you don't want to be taking the engagement until your fire strike's off cooldown here. Okay, so rushing out, they're forcing it. You've got a fire strike. Good. Great play, Jaguar.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That was very well done.
See, I just need to kill the Hanzo faster. I just kill them forehead.
Just kill them faster.
Right
Yeah,
click,
yep.
sky. Right click, right click, right click, right click.
Right click,
Hey,
right
okay.
click.
Right click up in the sky. Right click, right click. Right.
Actually, I literally took notes of that when you said that to the other guy last Vod, so I'm going to start doing that more. It's like throwing 4 right clicks in there and backing up.
You two weren't ready for this engagement. Oh my goodness, that slam!
Oh, or were
The
we?
slam.
It
I
was
don't
just
know
a
if
bait,
you're-
Jane. The whole time.
It was
this
a bait.
whole time.
Yeah.
Right click.
The health, we kept our health low on purpose.
Yeah.
Yep, clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
All according to plan.
All according to plan. I asked my healers not to heal me. They play.
So
Yeah.
that they would overextend and Jaguar would
Yep.
land the fattest shatter in existence.
Exactly.
That
Yep.
was a coordinated play. Absolutely.
Calculated.
Top level Overwatch.
Top.
I think it's worth mentioning. I don't want to distract too much from what Jane's already been saying about taking those favorable trades, and using Fire Strike as like a reason to look for an aggressive trade is a perfect option. But keep in mind that other resources outside of your own kit, as Reinhardt, apply to that as well. So the most obvious one being Zarya bubbles. If the enemy Zarya wastes their bubbles and we still have ours, that's a good reason to look for an aggressive trade.
And
if they're go for it.
The biggest one, it's not happening in this game, but Ana's nade. If Ana's nade happens, like even if you get an aggressive trade going in your favor and they still have an Ana nade, it's not enough, right? You have
Careful.
you have to see the nade miss. So it's like, this is one of the things that like higher level Reinhardt, if you are playing against an Ana, it's getting a favorable trade because the Ana is going to be holding her nade unless the trade from their Reinhardt is unfavorable, and then they're going to nade to cover that weakness, right? So one of the things that you can do as a Reinhardt against an Ana player is to try and get these favorable trades, or go, like, if you see the nade go out, you can aggress as soon as the yellow buff goes off. And then there's kind of like, so there's two ways to this. You can go in after the nade happens, or after the trade goes in your favor, you know that the Ana's like, shit, I need to heal my team. She's going to nade. You need to be hard shielding when that nade hits, or else the counter push is going to be devastating because you'll have already used your projected bubble in order to get that favorable trade. So it's like, especially when the opponent is playing Ana, even when you get a favorable trade, the next thing to worry about is like, where's that nade coming in? So as you get to the higher levels, eventually you can get to the point where if you're like pro level or something, every single cooldown is planned in some sort of ridiculous decision tree, and it gets stupid. But yeah.
All right, I'm ready to see the instant roll over them to cap first point.
I'm so ready for this.
Oh,
Jaguar's going to get the initial trade.
I feed.
Nope, no. You're going to get the initial trade, and then you're just going to roll over them.
Tactical reset. There's a tactical reset first because we want
Yeah.
we want to boost their confidence so that we can crush it.
All right. Your shield's already low. So this is a situation where you just have to, like, you can't go in here. You gotta wait for the shield to go up. Yeah. So yeah, going in here at 1,000 shield, you need to wait the 2 seconds it's gonna take for your shield to go all the way back up to 1,600.
Not sure why they aren't matching you, but if they were, you'd be rolled over right now.
That's great. See how you, like, he's not even swinging back. You got 2 hammer swings? Oh boy, huge.
But then we lose.
Yeah, the McCree flanked hotel that we weren't ready for. Again, something that we could be marking as the Zarya while our Rein's pushing forward.
I literally mark it right when it's like too late though.
Yeah.
Like, I figure it out and I hear the flashbang and I rotate and then it's over. But we have spawn advantage, so.
True. So trades are fine.
There's that fire strike. Missed. That would be trying to get the engagement happening before. Yep. Oh, yes!
Beautiful.
Feed.
Jaguar.
And then I just peek from around the corner.
Why did you peek?
I don't know.
Too much confidence. But yeah, like, that was so slick, Jaguar. That was so slick. No, like, seeing that fire strike, forcing the engagement when you knew that their fire strike was 3 seconds off cooldown, getting the 2 unanswered swings, pushing, opening up the angle and fire striking.
You're dominating.
That
the
was
tank advantage.
dominant in that fight for sure.
And I think you guys as a duo, just your natural synergy is going to be really good at carrying you through these frontline fights and just finding advantages in frontline, but making sure we're able to mark other things as well, making it able to find our own off angles, making sure we're able to deny flanks from the enemy team. That's what's going to help us in the tougher fights when we're not able to always win against the front line kind of thing.
So yeah, and this is the situation like where when you already killed that Reiner in the same way, like there's a lot of times where I think that y'all tank ultimates that you don't have to, like dragons and windows. Like, just wait that window out. You got the kill. You got the Reinhardt. You can reset and stabilize while their window is doing fucking nothing. So both of you die to this window where it's like, so there's that fire strike, right? And you're like, oh, I want to start this swing. And then you're going to start this fight where the Reinhardt has his cooldown at, so his cooldown is 3, right? So that's big. You've got to,
What happened to his hammer?
Whoa. Anyway, so getting this boom, right? So right here, boom, I would be hard shielding and taking cover. I would not continue fighting this, right? Because you will have your cooldowns coming. Your Moira has used healed orb. You've used bubbles. You used fire strikes, and at this point, you gained the advantage, right? So the idea here is you back out and you stabilize. So after the window goes back in, you can re-engage with your cooldowns instead of trying to survive against the window without any cooldowns of your own. Now, the way that you play this instead, so if, like Ryan, if you see Jaguar going off on this angle, you can't go with her. This is where you need to have these 2 split angles where if they go after Jaguar, you punish them with the backline, or if they go after you, Jaguar can punish. It's going to be harder in this context. But this is not a situation that both of you need to take this off angle. Ryan, you should be staying in this position because then gap shot being there is in danger. Right?
Yeah, I think the thing that got me here is I saw the Zarya use personal, so I thought, like, I'm 99% charge. I can probably burst her down.
Yeah.
It was greed over.
But you could have done that from here.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you could have been on the other side of the dragon and bubbled Jaguar to get out of it if necessary. But
I could have just stood there. I could have just not moved.
Or I could have fed. I did that. I chose feed. I woke up and chose feeding.
You woke up and chose death. There you go.
Yeah. So, something I say all the time is, like, when you have an advantage, i.e. you kill their enemy Rein, the best thing you can do is play safe and play together. For you two, playing together doesn't mean occupying the same space in that instance. It means being within range to use each other's threat and cooldowns. So you still want to stay within bubble range, but playing together in that instance means if they push one of you, they can't push the other one. It doesn't mean stacking on top of each other. And that's pretty unique to tanks. Typically, if we're talking about a DPS, I'll tell them to hug a tank because it's their safest way of living. But for you guys as a tank duo, you want to be splitting your aggression so that they have to choose and get punished by the other.
Overall, I think the two of you can hit masters together for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't see any reason why not. I think that just a little bit more care and attention about thinking about engagements and the trades of cooldown as more discrete events that have their own unique decision tree about whether or not you continue to fight or reset to try again. Just the inclusion of like that into the playstyle and your decision making is going to be something that is going to carry you to masters. I think that alone should help you reach masters. And then Jaguar, I think that we're not going to have time to do it in today's VOD. But the piece that's missing in your gameplay is when Ryan like really truly fucks off on his own, not just playing off angle, but like flanks and takes high grounds and shit like that because he's got a grav or wants to go duel a widow or something like that. When that happens and he's doing it intentionally and he's still alive somewhere, it's not like he's died. He's alive somewhere else. I think that you don't really have a good idea of what you should be doing in that point in time. Where you do become a little bit more of a shield bot and you're trying to enable the DPS that you have and bait the opponents into locations where it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, that's going to be a harder one to learn because that playstyle is going to be very rare. Like it only happened once in this VOD, and unless you're playing literally double sniper or like Hanzo Bastion, that playstyle is not going to come up a lot. So, I think that. Again, I don't even want to try and explain how to play like, with double sniper during the time that we have left. But that would be the next thing that I would have you look into learn is how to play double flank, play with double flanker or double sniper as a Reinhardt player, or when you're playing Reinhardt Diva with those kind of so it can be Reinhardt Diva also plays very similarly. To the Reinhardt Zarya when the Zarya has fucked off to control a high ground or something like that when you are double flanker or double sniper. So that's, I think, the next playstyle that I would work with you if this was a longer thing.
Yeah, sometimes I go on flanks into the next map and leave her to just fight the game.
Yeah.
I'll let her. Yeah. But no, thank you guys very much for the VOD. And when we hit Masters, I guess we'll try to get you guys another code so
Awesome.
we can try to get to the next level.
Did
Thank
you
you very
have any questions or anything you want clarified, Ryan?
So like, okay, what? It's like hard because like, so like I know I'm trying to look for the off angle, but like, what like key factors like determine like which angle? Like, so like on KR, for example, you have like hotel or you have like the high ground right side mega when you're attacking first. Like, what factors would say like, hey, I should go in hotel and start right clicking, or hey, maybe I could spend some extra time and take the right high ground behind Jaguar and like right click them from over there. Like, would I always want to just go for the backline push, or would there be like times where I wanted to go and spend extra time to get on like the high ground behind her? If like you turn your mouse to the right, I'm talking about like that space.
Lou, do you want to take that one, or do you want me to answer it?
Sure. Number one thing, like you're already mentioning, is ease of access. How long it is going to take you to find value on your flank is a big part of it, because your Reinhardt will not last forever without you. So making sure you're finding value fast enough so that we can actually use the space Reinhardt's created and not be forced to back off before you come online, kind of thing. So I think what you're talking about, that clock tower flank on the high ground, that would be an example of something that takes too long and wouldn't find enough value. King's Row is such an easy example because everything on King's Row is basically a short flank. The difference between a short and a long flank being, number one, the time it takes to set up, and typically the range at which you'll be coming online during that flank. So as Zarya, or as someone like McCree even, you'll always be looking for these short flanks since you don't have much mobility and your range is relatively short. You want to get to the place where you can have the most impact as fast as possible. And sometimes that means staying with your Rein, but just swinging a little bit wider than them. So you space a little bit, like if we're rounding this corner into dark that we're showing right here, either staying right at this door on the left or wrapping right if your Reinhardt stays at that door, means you can hit dark and hit another angle potentially around a Reinhardt shield that you wouldn't be able to hit just by standing with your Rein. So that's like the fastest, easiest example of a short flank, is just stepping a bit to the side. And then obviously using geometry like a space like hotel, using a point like King's Row near the Bookstar when you were taking that high ground. Those are really easy short off angles to take, where you can find immediate value with your range. If you're playing someone like Tracer or Genji with a ton of mobility, you can take more advantage of that by taking longer flanks. If you're playing someone with longer range like Hanzo or Widow, you can use longer sight lines instead of closer range ones. But for Zarya specifically, you want to stick to those close flanks because you need the ability to fall back to your team if you ever get pressured out, and you need the ability to be able to bubble your team and be in range of them if they start getting pressured out.
Yeah, so I think that like as the simplest rule of thumb or general rule I can come up with, right, is that you still want to be able to be applying damage to the shield or to the Reinhardt if you like. So it's like the positioning, these are more micro flanks or near flanks. You still want to be able to have the option to bubble your Reinhardt, left click the Reinhardt, or if you're above him, left click the Reinhardt or his shields. But you want to be getting these positions where you can do the same things that you could have done if you were with your Reinhardt, but having more options to do other things if they would get more value instead. Because you do, when you are high charge, you do a large amount of damage to shields and to tanks, so just by hard left clicking and finishing with a right click. But if you, for example, if you're Hanzo, like put somebody to half in the back line, then you could be there to follow it up with a right click in order to finish them off. Or maybe you hit somebody with a right click first, and then your Widowmaker or your Hanzo can finish that up with a body shot. Whereas like if you were, when you're playing directly with your Reinhardt, you only have the option of left clicking and chunking shields and chunking the enemy tank. Whereas if you're on the high ground, you can still do that if it's the best opportunity, but you have other options that could potentially have more value. So for these more micro flanks, I would consider them, it's like what's going to give you more options, but still allow you to do the same things as if you were with Jaguar directly.
Okay.
Same question. Okay. Same question to you, Jaguar. Do you have any questions or things that you wanted us to clarify?
I don't think so. I'll probably think of a question later and it'll be too late.
No, you'll have access to this VOD, and if you do, so anybody who has these coaching sessions, it's pretty common because what is it like? People only retain about 70% of the information that they're taught.
Even 70% sounds high, to be honest.
So it's one of those things where the VOD is going to be available to you to rewatch it, and but it's one of those times where because we're making up these explanations as we go, we're not always going to cover every single thing, or we might misspeak or something like that. It's not that uncommon. But you are more than welcome, I would say encouraged, to reach out to us with questions or clarifications about this VOD. Because it's like, if you are going to change your habits, you need to consistently be consciously applying them at first. And, you know, not only that, but 70% of retained information, you know, optimistic. And that's before we're even probably, we put a lot of information into these VODs just because there are recordings of them and you'll review them.
Yeah.
So you're not expected to like, I can implement all of these things that Lou and Jane talked about. Reach out to us if you have clarifications or questions about this VOD, and we'd be more than happy to help.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I really
thank you,
enjoyed
guys.
this VOD. Thank you for submitting it, and I enjoyed Duo VODs. We should do more of these.
Yeah, it's cool. Maybe we'll do one where each of us takes on one player, and then we battle it out.
Ideas.
With butt heads.
Ideas. All right. Well, thank you, Jaguar. Ryan, enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck climbing.
Thank you.
Thank
Take care,
you.
guys.
Bye.
All right. Bye now. Okay. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
fun.
they'll be in Masters in no time.
Oh, for sure.